he did. He just said, hey, I'm not going to do that. I need to go pray. I'm going to go rest. So I challenge you guys, evaluate your schedules. Don't be afraid to say, you know what, I got to cut that out. I got to cut that out to give God more time, or give time so I can go to small group or Bible study or meet with this small group in this home. Don't let the culture do that to you. It will rip you off. This culture will rip you off. So that's kind of some of the corporate things that this church is going through. Corporate as a body, that's what we're going through. Culture infiltrating the church in Corinth. But what about personally? You know, this is where, again, use your minds. There are some of you, I just being an athlete, man, I just think of that. There are things that you got to engage in culture, but where do you cross that line? Last Thanksgiving, some of you, I told this story where I used to party a lot, drink a lot, got invited by my brother when I went back home to go to a bar, and I knew everybody from my old high school was going to be there, all my guys from my past. And I took the time to say, okay, hey, let me call you back. Let me check on my wife and call you back. Asked my wife, she says, yeah, go ahead. I'll probably be home till after midnight. It's okay, go ahead. So then now I begin to discern, okay, Lord, you want me to go? You want me to go? Totally have the freedom to go. So I go. But there's a line I cross. It's like, man, when I walk out the door, I put on the armor. I just put on the, okay, man, I'm going into a battlefield. I'm going into a place where I'm going to get mocked. I'm going to get laughed at. First person, when I walk in the door, the first thing the guy says to me is, hey, it's Moses. Because they know who I am now. And I sat there and drank my water for the next 4 hours. Getting taunted and laughed at and stuff. And I have a beer every now and then, but man, I got to draw that line. With those people, I will not have a beer. I will not go there. And so, man, I'm engaging in the culture. I'm going to a place that most Christians aren't going to go. And if I don't go there to these people, who's going to go? And I loved it. I loved it. I could sit there, have my glass of water, get mocked, get laughed at, watch them, well, I wasn't going to watch them get wasted, but just take their views. But I just loved it. It was like, yes, love this. Not crossing that line, not engaging in their talk. Okay? Another thing I love to do, the reason I got a fat lip, is I love to coach mixed martial arts. Somebody thought I was talking about like WWE. I was like, God, no, not that, no. Muay Thai, kickboxing, boxing. I love to coach that. But man, again, that's a part of our culture that, man, that sport is massively growing. And I like the sport. The culture of the sport I absolutely hate. I despise it. It's just drunkenness, vile, women, the whole 9 yards. I mean, it's just like, gosh, I go to some fights and I'm like, this is sick around here. So I have to choose. Again, now I'm choosing to engage. I'm choosing to coach, locker room talk, but I'm choosing not to go into that talk. I'm not gonna cuss. I don't need to. I don't feel like I need to do that to engage in culture. But I coach, and it's amazing the conversations I get into. I love it that people look at me and they say, man, what's up with you, man? I'm able to share. Well, yeah, this is it. So engaging in culture, guys, it's important to engage in culture, but don't be swept away. Do not be swept away in the culture in which we live. And most importantly, with all of this is the gospel does not change in our culture. And I've seen a massive shift, a massive, sad shift in the last 12 years where people that were staunch on the gospel and that, man, the gospel is the gospel and people are tearing away from the gospel to appease man. It makes me sick. That's not the way to engage in culture. Man, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Mars Hill and Mark Driscoll, a massively going church in Seattle. It's just got 5 campuses, and I kept hearing that they were just horrible church, teaching false doctrine, all this stuff, all I could hear was just like, man, ripping this guy. And I started to jump on the bandwagon. And I finally was like, man, I got invited to go to a church planting conference with a brother of mine, and I went, and I was like, well, I'm going to check this thing out. I'm going to see if this is true. And man, I have never heard such a more conservative, biblical stance than from this guy, Mark Driscoll. It was amazing. And what was happening was that here's a guy in his church was a forerunner, and is a forerunner for engaging in culture, but not slacking on the gospel. Man, he preaches it and preaches it hard. And because he's engaging in culture the way he is, he gets a bad rap. And that's wrong. Because these other churches, these other people that are hearing this from, they're more we're going to separate from that. And they're creating their own little bubble, and no one's going to come to their church. And they live in their little bubble, and it's, culture, it's bad, it's wicked. But at some point, man, we got to engage. So you guys need to discern. You're at that prime age where, man, you're going to be making decisions in the next 4 years about, man, am I going to engage? What am I going to engage in? What am I not going to engage in? And you've got to think these things through. You've got to take the time to think these things through. Yes? Oh. Yeah. Going real slow. Hey, wait a minute, we got verse 1. Yeah, just like in Brazil. I'm gonna have to cut some things out here. Okay. We'll start verse 1. We'll move quickly here. I'll just run through this. First, we're just going to go through verse 4. So just work through these verses. Paul, we talked about Paul. Called to be an apostle of Jesus Christ. That word call means appointed. It means appointed. And again, I'm going to challenge you with this. That word call, you guys, every single one of you is called to something. God has given you a God-given passion for something. It hit me like a wave yesterday where I thought, man, out of all of these people in this room, there are going to be people that are going to be called to be pastors. No doubt. And I kind of taken that for granted. Like, people are, statistically, some of you are going to be called to be pastors. Some are going to be called out of this country. Some of you ladies are going to be called to be a pastor's wife. And Paul had a specific calling to be an apostle, to be a sent one is what that means. A sent one, or sent forth. Like I said earlier, man, he wanted to take the gospel where it was not. He preached the gospel. He says, God has called me to preach the gospel. Paul was about the gospel. He was called out. Everyone has some kind of calling on your life. Doesn't mean that you're going to be a pastor or missionary or this or that. You can be called. I had a friend that went to Brazil for a short-term missions trip. Came back. And then he went back for 6 months. Came back. We had coffee. He said, you know what? One thing I did learn is I'm not called to be a missionary. But I am called to make money and support missions. And he's doing it, man. He's like one of the top agents for country insurance. Makes a lot of money. And he supports missionaries. So it doesn't